Well, hello again and welcome to yet another episode of Day Tripper Daz, my 12th episode, would you believe it? This time I brought you to a field somewhere in Devon, and it's so far the weather's looking good, and it's a campsite. It's at Dartington, which is near Totnes in South Devon. And don't worry, I'm not going to be boring you with the goods and bads and the pros and cons of going camping. We're actually here today for a specific reason. So tomorrow we're hoping to go and have a look at the Great Hall at Dartington itself, and there's some spectacular gardens around there which I'll be showing you as well, and there's a nice pub called the White Hart, I think, up there. So that'll be tomorrow morning, and in the afternoon we're going off to the Ale and Rail, or is it the Rail and Ale Festival? That's been held at a place called Staverton. There's a steam train station there, and they're holding at the same time what we believe to be a beer festival as well. And then obviously there's all the other camping-y bits that go along with it. But if you're going to go camping, and here's the hard bit, first you have to set the tent up, and that's the bit that could be really good fun. Okay, so we've got to the bit here. I'm not going to bore you with the whole procedure, but we've got to the bit where we are now trying to erect the gazebo. This could take a while, so I don't think we need to film this one too much here, but it could be quite entertaining. I think we need another beer, Tony.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I think we need another beer. That's a good idea. Right. Oh, by the way, just let you know, some lovely cows over there. Someone's turned up here with what looks like a CND flag with lots of sort of rainbow colours on it, and a flag of the Red Arrows as well. So that's all very nice, and it's just starting to fill up now as the afternoon heads towards the evening. So there's a few more people here, and because it's a bank holiday weekend, I would imagine that there might be a few more people turn up tomorrow as well. It's Friday today, so I expect tomorrow we'll see a few more people here. But anyway, so far so good. Tents are still standing, both of them. And yeah, we're still going, so I'll let you know how we get on with this gazebo. Okay, I've got a little update for you. We think we've constructed the roof of the gazebo, but as typical with these things here, they give you like have you got those instructions there? Now look, if you can work this one out here. So they've given us this here. Sorry, pointing the camera at me. Right, yeah, so you know, it's like
A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A, B, C, D, E.
But you see now, look, you've got these bars here, right, and they say they're number 2s, but then some of the number 2s are different than the other number 2s. Some have got these slotty bits in them, some of them got springy bits in them. We're not entirely sure why they've all got the same number, but we'll carry on. But it kind of looks a bit like a roof, I think. So as the afternoon moves on, we've now managed to do this sort of gazebo, more of a gazebet really, but it seems to be, for the moment, standing up a little wonkily. And we've got some sides that we can put on around here, but at the moment we're not too sure whether we really need them or not. It's not too bad an evening, but anyway, we've got that far, so it's been really good. And we did this whole thing in what, about 10 minutes, Tony?
More than that.
Quarter of an hour. Okay, it took us quarter of an hour to get this far here, but as you can see, we've now got some chairs inside, and Tony's going to have a game of chess with me in a moment, and we'll become grandmasters at that. Okay, so yeah, so the afternoon is moving along quite nicely, and we're now going to have a look at the fire pit which we bought, and see if we can turn that into something of a disaster like you do. And so finally we've got our gazebo up and running. As you can see, we just put the one side up at the moment, it almost fits, and we've got the fire pit going, and we're just about to make a kind of barbecuette type thing here, and there you go, things are falling down. So anyway, I think that's probably it for day one here on the campsite at Dartington. And tomorrow, hopefully, if the weather's nice, or even if it isn't, we're going to go off and do stuff, and we've got a few things lined up. So we'll see you in the morning. So good morning and welcome to day 2 of Day Tripper Camping, as it's now become, and we've woken this morning to a slightly different scene. So last night was nice, and we had a nice we got a nice little roast thing, not roast, what do you call it, a barbecue type thing going there, and then that turned into a fire pit, and that was very nice. But as the evening progressed, we could feel the wind picking up and getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and we're now faced this morning with a very different situation. Let me first of all tell you about my tent. Now, my tent's still standing, as you can see, and the wind's blowing really quite dramatically against it, but I've come across a small problem that somehow, when I was trying to do the door up last night, if you call it a door, I managed to break the zip on it. I've got it half on again now. You know what it is when the plastic bit gets stuck within the zip and you're trying to yank it one way to the other, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So that's a problem I've got to solve at the moment, and if not, then I'm just going to have to somehow tie this door up tonight to give me some sort of protection. Because the reason I say that is we know the weather's getting worse. Tonight, Tony, what's the wind speed forecast to get to?
Well, at the moment it's about 27 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And it's likely to stay like this until about 8 p.m, and then it goes up to about 34 miles an hour, which is gale force.
This is gale force winds. I think
and
to be honest,
even more than that in about 70 miles.
I think whatever the number is, I mean, I feel like ringing up the BBC and saying there's a hurricane on the way.
Yeah, get Michael Fish.
And get Michael Fish to tell us that no, there's
maintain this.
What are you talking about, woman? There's no hurricane coming in here. Anyway, so A, I've got a tent that doesn't probably work at the moment, and B, with this gazebo, which has lasted quite well.
Yeah, it has got the Battle of the Bulbs.
It is, yeah, it's Battle of the Bulbs. But the thing is, right, it's starting to show certain signs of weaknesses. We've had to repair some of these.
A few workarounds.
A few workarounds.
Involving,
we've
stuffing.
You see, years of watching Blue Peter have taught us how to repair and make do with things and get things like. So we got bits of.
Got sticky back plastic.
Well, no, that would be handy.
Got sticky back Velcro, which is holding the entire structure together.
So we're thinking tonight, do we just bring down the gazebo? Because we've got some form.
And it will be raining as well as the gale force wind. It will be raining. So
we've got some form on this because we went camping a couple of years ago down in Cornwall, and the weather changed and our tent completely collapsed and was basically flying off into the wind, into the distance, and we were basically useless. So we've got some experience on this, and we're thinking, because it's quite a wide-sided body, this, do we bring it down this afternoon before it gets any worse than this? As you can see, the wind is already bowing it as we speak. Anyway, we'll find out about that. Anyway, in the meantime, we're off next to Dartington Hall. We're going to show you the Great Hall and show you some of the gardens there before we head off to do our Ale and Rail Festival. See you shortly. So we've actually made it away from the campsite, and we've come out now to a location which I thought looks pretty spectacular, and this is called Broadlear's Agroforestry Research Project. We're actually on the way to the Great Hall at Dartington. We'll be there shortly. It's only just around the corner, so we won't be long there, but I thought it's worth a little spot of a look here at pretty spectacular scenery. We're not far from Totnes, by the way, so you come down here, then you can go to Totnes and go out to Dartington. Certainly worth popping out here. Tony, you've been looking at some of the information they give us on this this research project. What do you know?
Well, it combines sort of modern day agriculture with these rows of, well, mainly the apple trees, would you believe?
Oh.
And it's a way that actually improves the soil health, and it also is a big help for insects and
so wildlife in general.
Yeah.
See, what strikes me about these projects, as lovely as they are, do you know, it seems very hard to see how they would ever do this at scale. You know, I mean, how would they do this across the country? How would, I was already well putting a nice little field in Devon with a few apple trees growing in it. It's a bit like sticking a few solar panels around the place, as if somehow that's going to change the economics of this country. But it does look nice, doesn't it?
Yes, it looks scenic, and it's good for wildlife. And I think cultivation on a large scale would struggle with this because you know, you're losing.
It's intensive, isn't it?
Yeah, you're losing productivity.
Space.
If you did that on the large scale.
You're losing space. That's what. Look, we're not very positive, are we? Look at it. It looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful.
They're doing it for all the right reasons,
yes.
And we absolutely go along with that one.
Yeah. But this isn't prime sort of farming land.
It isn't, is it? It's a dip in the landscape.
It's
anyway,
not like Clarkson's Farm.
It's not like, well, it's probably more like Clarkson's Farm, actually. Anyway, talking of Clarkson Farm, we're going to head off now to Dartington Hall. We're going to see the Great Hall, and there's some great gardens around there as well. So we're going to do that one there. Before we head back, check on the tents to see if they're still standing, because we've got doubts on that one. And when we've done that, we're heading off to steam trains and some more beer, apparently. So we'll see you shortly. So happily, we've made it to Dartington Hall. And this is the estate of Dartington, which is not too far from the town of Totnes. And I know a little bit about this place. From a personal point of view, I've been here many times, but apparently this dates back to medieval times, back to the 14th century. And in front of us there is the Great Hall. And in its day was considered the finest of its type in England, and we may have a little look inside there in a moment. The buildings themselves is really a country estate, and it's built around this courtyard. I could just see somebody singing to the sounds of Chariots of Fire running around here, but I think I've got the wrong location. But it's got that kind of feel to it, definitely medieval. And I think in its more modern days, it's been run by the Dartington Trust estate. And I think also the Quakers or something. Oh, there was a Schumacher college around here, which is a little bit alternative. Actually, anything around Totnes is quite alternative, to be honest. Anyway, let's have a little wander around here. What does it say about the courtyard, Tony? Anything interesting?
On a wider thing, it's actually telling us when it was built. Between 1388 and 1399. For John Holland, Earl of Huntingdon, and later Duke of Exeter. And yes,
we probably met him at the Exeter Pride, I suppose, the other week.
Yeah,
no doubt he was there. That Citroen 2CV over there, probably a more modern add to the
60s
estate.
or 70s.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, it could be 60s.
Not 1360s.
I think then they use them in, like, I think it was a Bond film that appeared in, and a Pink Panther type thing.
Oh yeah,
would have been in that very French thing, isn't it? Okay, so let's have a little wander around the courtyard here, and we might see if we can be, if they're friendly enough around here, if we can walk into the Great Hall. The Great Hall itself, I remember, now I went to school not so far from here, and I remember playing in the Great Hall here on a few occasions, Christmas concerts and that sort of stuff, but also there was a performance of Noel's Floody, which we did in this hall, and actually it's a great location for listening to things like chamber music and things like that, because the sound in the hall is really good. The acoustics, very good. That's the word I was looking for. Could be a wedding going on here today. Evening. So I just had a word with the person on the reception here at Dartington, and apparently whilst there is a wedding going on here today, and so the Great Hall itself is closed off, as is the pub that is attached to it and the little private garden at the back, the estate itself isn't actually closed, so we can have a little wander around. So what I thought we'd do now at this stage, as we start at the summer house, looking a little bit folly like, we're going to have a stroll around the gardens here, and you can get a little taste of just what it all looks like. So that was a pleasant little stroll around the gardens here at Dartington Hall, and I'm hoping I didn't interfere too much with the wedding that's going on here this afternoon. They do look very posh, by the way, so they probably don't want the lights. Me and Tony there wandering around in the background with our carrier bags and swigging in lager. No, so to be fair, we've been quite sort of subtle on that front, but we've made it outside. Now there's a pub here called the White Hart that's been closed down today because of this wedding. Good luck to them. So we bought our own instead, which is fine. I mentioned to you about Dartington Hall. I've played here as a trumpet player when I was a young man. Wasn't that long ago, really. In the Great Hall. I'd love to have shown you around that today, but as you can see, it's closed for a wedding. But also some other things. Used to be a College of Arts around here. I remember, again, as a young musician, I'd come to the college and take part in things. Did my grade 5 theory here. Got 90%, by the way, just so you know, for that there. And you had to do your grade 5 theory before you moved on to your grade 6 and stuff like that. So that was done. But there's also a scandal attached to this place. Not so much with the Great Hall, but there used to be a place called Foxhole School here, which was, I think, established in the 1930s by the Elmhursts. And it went on up till the 80s, really. But it closed in a bit of scandal because apparently the headmasters of the school were filmed semi-naked for a top shelf magazine. As you do, we called them top shelf magazines in those days, didn't we? Don't really see them nowadays since the internet and all that stuff. I don't think it's really much need for it. But they were caught in that, and then lots of stories came out about how children were being made to bathe naked together and things like that. So the whole thing became scandalous, and the national newspaper took it up, and eventually it closed in about 1987. So that's the end of that particular school. But other than that, everything else here is pretty nice, really. So I think we've done Dartington, and it's a lovely place to come to visit. Our next stop is we're going to have a quick check on our tents on the way back, and then we're going to head off to Staverton and join in with the Ale and Rail Festival. Or is it Rail and Ale Festival?
Rails and ales.
Rails and Ales. I think after a couple of larkers, you ain't going to care. So we've done Dartington Hall, and that was quite pleasant, despite the fact we couldn't get into the Great Hall, which would have been nice, but there you go. Them's the breaks, isn't it? We're on our way now to Staverton, but just before we get there, I just noticed that there's a game of cricket going on here this afternoon. Very British, very English probably. And they're all putting their leather against willow, like you do. And it's a very typical English scene here on this Saturday afternoon. And it's right opposite our campsite. So that's quite convenient, as you do. So as they continue to play along with the willow and leather, someone's just running up to take a run. Is he going to get anything? Oh yeah, they're going to get a couple of runs, I think. Just the one. Not bad though, that's quite good. Okay, we're off to Staverton now to see some steam trains and a pint. So we've come across this really quite spectacular tree here en route to Staverton, which I think looks really impressive. And as we move on a little bit further here, we've come across some locals, I think, which are the four-legged type. So they're here today. Got a lovely white horse and a black and white horse, which looks a little bit like my cat. Hiya! Hello. Who's this then?
Hello.
Who's this?
Hello, you.
How you doing?
Friendly. Have a bit of nice green grass. Got
Lovely.
more flies on it, yes. I know. I know what it's like. Are you going to run in the 505 at Goodwood today?
Oh, do you know, I haven't booked that one yet. Your friend's not quite so coming up front and speaking to us. Oh, maybe that'll change.
Is that any use to you?
There we go.
Is that any use?
Well, you just see anything, wouldn't you?
What about that one?
That's cool.
Look at that.
Lovely.
That's a big one.
Okay, just by the way, you can't really see it from here. There's a building just behind here. You can't see it. It's a place called the Old Postern, which is part of the Dartington estate. And when I was young, when I left school, I went to college there for a period of time, about 6 months, I think it was. I don't think it's a college anymore now. It's kind of changed its use, but that's how I know this particular place. So we're heading up this, what we've seen is a public footpath, but it doesn't tell us where it goes. But we think it goes to Staverton, and we're going to work on that basis. And so that's where we're off to. And hopefully next time you see us, we'll be at the Ale and Rail Festival. Okay, so we've now been, we just talked to a couple of people who told us that we are definitely on the right footpath to Staverton, which is that way. But I just thought I'd show you this Blair Witch Project wood that we're passing halfway through here. There's an old rickety turn down. Now that looks like an old wooden gazebo. If all fails tonight and our gazebo blows down,
why don't we just
we'll just
here?
pick that one there, or just
camp.
stay in the
Yeah,
trees.
there's less wind here.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? We could have pitched up in here. We could have just put our tents in here.
It'd probably be drier in there.
Actually, if you go far enough in there and have some magic mushrooms or something like that, and probably see some very strange things going on during the night. But I think that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Looks a bit eerie though. There's got to be some ghosts around here.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly.
There's got to be, isn't there? Right, talking of ghosts, let's go and get some beer. We know the Ale Festival is this way. So we might be a little bit lost actually. We thought we'd taken the oh, we can hear the steam train, and that's what we're looking for, isn't it? So we took the path that we've been reliably informed is the footpath to Staverton, and I can't at this stage say that it isn't, but it came to a bit of a junction just now where there were lots of different directions to go in. So we're just kind of going on instinct here, because it tells me feels like this is the right direction, but we're now heading into some ghostly woods, and I don't know what we're going to see what we get down here. Was that children's program years ago? Was it Whistler the Wood or something?
Oh, Willow the Wisp.
Willow the Wisp.
Oh, with Kenneth Williams.
With Kenneth Williams, who did Oh Yeah.
Eagle Edna.
That's the one.
And what was the name of the main character? Is that a TV set, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the TV set.
We're going back a bit here, to be fair.
If you can remember.
Yeah, if anyone actually knows anything about Willow the Wisp with Kenneth Williams, who used to be in the Carry On films, if you can tell us what that was all about. I can hear a steam train in the background, and given the fact we're going to the Rail and Ales, or the Ales and Rails Festival, that does sound encouraging. So we'll go with that at the moment. But we've already taken one wrong turn today already, so we might end up meeting some dodgy people down here in the woods. Anyway, so far so good, I think. Hopefully we'll get there in time to have a pint. I'll see you later. Okay, so we've actually made it to Staverton, and this is Staverton Bridge, which flows across the River Dart, and that'll be something to have a nice little look at, which is good fun. And the important part about this is we're very close to Staverton Station. Have a look down here. That is the most... Is that... What is that? Is that a peacock? That's it's either that or a very big duck. I think it's a peacock. Anyway, so we're very close now to Staverton Station, which is our destination of choice today, as we allow some of these cars to oh, that's going to be a tight squeeze, isn't it? Yeah, so what do you reckon? Duck? Very big duck, isn't it? That has got to be a duck. You don't get peacocks in the middle of a river, do you? Even I know that much. That's got to be a very, very large duck. So anyway, across the bridge I can hear some music in the background, so that suggests to me that we're approaching Staverton Station. And that'd be really cool, because that's where the Ale and Rail, or Rail and Ale Festival is on. So we've made it, and the weather at the moment is holding up. Oh, just to let you know, by the way, there's a storm coming tonight. Normally I would end this video here at our destination, but I've got a feeling the events are going to turn a little bit dramatic later in the show. So we've made it to the Ale and Rail and Ale Festival. Get this the wrong way around, no matter what it is. Yeah, and everyone's enjoying a nice ale, including myself. I just bought one. Some of them are very strong, so we're slightly avoiding the very strong ones here. But everybody's having a really good time here at Staverton, which is a little station here near Totnes, which is very nice. Now we will shortly be going on one of these trains. We're going to be heading on into Totnes, and then we're going to be seeing one or two things there whilst we enjoy the sunny weather at the moment. But we know that there is a storm coming this afternoon, and so tonight, oh, looks like the train's about to get off. I think that was heading off to Buckfast Lee, which you would have seen on a previous episode if you watched Day Tripper Daz. So that was heading off. Yeah, nice noise. Yeah, let's see what we can do. As the train sets off. This one's a diesel train, so they have steam trains here and diesel trains. So, as the train goes off into the distance, we'll catch up with you shortly when we're on a train heading into Totnes. So we've made it on board a train here to Totnes from Staverton, so we've left all the people behind who are drinking lots of beers and things, and we're travelling along the route of the River Dart, which is a river called the Dart, and that's where we are. So you were talking to someone just now at the station about the line that goes to Buckfast Lee, but it didn't go much further than that, did it?
No, I mean the present Heritage Railway goes as far as Buckfastleigh, but apparently it used to carry on for 2 further miles to Ashburton. But after the line closed to normal traffic in the late 50s, before the beaching era of
so the beaching cuts didn't influence this at all?
No, it was already closed before that, I believe, to normal traffic, but then it was reopened in the late 60s as a heritage line. But then unfortunately they decided to build a major road, the A38.
There's the ticket inspector.
Yes. Two there, thank you.
Thank you. So we're heading into Totnes shortly. Probably won't spend too much time in Totnes because no, we have to get back before, because there's Hurricane Harriet coming in tonight.
Hurricane Dart.
Hurricane Dart is coming in tonight.
Well,
apparently someone rang the BBC, and anyway, it's really nice.
Yeah, we have to see that.
Yeah, we're not far from where we're going. It's quite a short journey.
Enjoying the water sports down there.
Yeah, no, everyone's down there with their kayaks. They're going up the river. We must do a kayaking adventure sometime. I do have a kayak, so we must do that. So we've got to get stuck into that. That'd be nice. So we're coming into Totnes right now. I don't know what we're going to do in Totnes. Any idea?
Well, there's the odd pub or two there.
Well, the odd pub. Actually, we could do.
I still think Totnes is worthy of a episode of its own on your channel.
I know. We've not actually done an episode of Totnes.
Yeah, I think
we should do that.
Write in the comments if you think there should be a special episode.
If you'd like to do that, and while you're doing that, if you'd like to subscribe, press the like button and subscribe. I'd be really appreciative of that. And here we go, into Totnes. So we've made it to Totnes, and the train's about to depart, and here we are, and we're going to go and have a little walk around here. Now this one, we've got a diesel train here, but in sharp contrast, as we look in the background there's a Virgin train, which is also diesel, to be fair. We haven't quite gone electric down here in Devon yet. That will happen in about 100 years time. So the trains are looking there, and it looks quite spectacular if you look at this. Just reminds me of an old Jimmer Fix-It program actually, which is probably not very good. So that's to Totnes, and that's to the station, and this is an old intercity diesel train. can see. What class is this?
25.
Class 25. Is this before the 37? After the 37.
After the 37, yeah. 37 was from the 60s, wasn't it?
That's the one with the... But this is pretty big as well, isn't it? Yeah. So as that train departs, just having a look at some of the posters they've got here at Totnes station. This one is advertising Cadbury's dairy milk, I guess we'd call it nowadays. This one is a trip to Cornwall, Newquay. That's where they do the surfing. We're going to do that, by the way, before the summer finishes. That'll be quite nice there. Got stories to tell you about that one there. Off to Cornwall with the Great Western Railway. They can see the romantic image that they're trying to paint there. And then finally, off to Butlins. And I've got stories to tell you about that one there. I don't know where I'm going to stop this. And we'll all end up having a pint of Guinness. And by the way, there's no smoking allowed on this platform here. So there you go. So South Devon Limited Railway. Very limited, because it doesn't go very far. But it's very nice, very romantic. Okay, I think we're going to have a little quick look into Totnes. And then we'll probably have to head back to the campsite. Because we now know, well, as I've told you before, we know there's a storm coming. And when we get to the campsite tonight, somehow we've got to survive an evening before we all get blown away by a hurricane and end up somewhere with the Wizard of Oz. So yes, that is the castle, and you're probably wondering, when I just mentioned to you about going into the Kingsbridge Inn, why we're now in the foothills of the castle. The reason is we went into the Kingsbridge Inn and it wasn't open, and then I went down to another pub I remember from years ago called the Bull Inn, but they seem to have gone a bit woke because they're selling water on tap and vegetarian food, which wasn't really what we were looking for. So we've come back to what I remember now as the Castle, the pub at the top of the town. Now, it's got a few different names now, but I think it's basically called the Barrel House, and that's where we've come here. And the bit here at the back is still exactly as I remember it, and it's right in the foothills of the castle. Now, did you know, Tony, that this is the birthplace of the modern computer? Well, yeah, it was, because
it seems far removed from
well, it's not exactly Microsoft, but Charles Babbage, who invented what people regard as a modern day computer, but it probably wasn't. But it was a very complicated piece of machinery, which worked out numbers and codes and things like that. He lived in Totnes, and if you go to Totnes Museum to this very day, there's a replica of the computer that he made. And I've just done an edit there, by the way. If you didn't notice it, you will, because I've just told you. King Brutus came to Totnes, and the old bridge in Totnes is called Brutus Bridge. First King of England. See, I'm telling you all these things here. It's only because I lived here, so I've got a little bit of inside knowledge on this one here. Anything else that we can remember about Totnes? Famous for? It's an Elizabethan town. So probably Queen Elizabeth. River Dart. There's a steam railway. We've done that one. But only it was came by diesel this time. Steam packet. Yeah. Very good.
That's a good place to do.
So look, we're not really doing an episode here on
I think it's worthy of a full episode.
we're not doing an episode on Totnes. It just happens that that was the end of the steam railway line here, and so we've come here and we're having a pint or two. So we've made it back to the station at Totnes, and we're heading back to Staverton before we hit the storm that's going to hit us at the campsite. And one of the things that I've noticed here, Tony, is that they got lots of little signs around here. So you've got Woodbines, cigarette, Brook Tea.
Will's Gold Flake cigarettes.
Will's Gold Flake cigarettes. Now, don't you think this has a juxtaposition? Because you've got all these adverts here for smoking products.
Yeah, trying to encourage you to smoke a lot.
And then we come along to this sign here that says, no smoking allowed by order.
Yeah, make your flipping
I mean, make your bloody mind up. I mean, what is it? So we made it back to the campsite, and as we expected, this is what we're faced with. Our gazebo has now collapsed, and the wind is picking up to such a ridiculous point that we've just decided to abandon the gazebo. If the tents stay up, that'd be good. But this is now getting absolutely shocking. Now this is quite early in the evening, so as the evening goes on, I'll let you know. I'll give you an update and a report as we go. But it's not looking brilliant at the moment. Well, good morning, and it might be hard to believe as we wake up to this not too bad a morning here at Dartington that we've just been through perhaps the most horrendous night. You probably still hear the wind going now, but last night was really, really bad. And it didn't help with the fact that my tent, the zip on the flap of my front of the tent got jammed and broken, so I effectively didn't have a front door last night. So whilst the tent itself kept me dry, the wind was howling its way through. But never mind, we managed to combination of sleeping bag and a coat and just generally huddled myself into myself. We managed to get through it, so that was fine. Anyway, just a final word about the campsite itself. This is Camp Dartington, near Totnes in South Devon. It's in a lovely location, beautiful actually. I mean, it's just fantastic, stunning is the word for it. And I would highly recommend coming here. The campgrounds itself are well maintained. There's good facilities here as well, showers, toilets, washing facilities and all that. And they even do like glamping things as well, if you're into that. It's a bit cheating really, isn't it? But okay, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, so Camp Dartington, highly recommend it. Go and check them out, and it's good value for money as well. I think it was £12 per person per night to stay here, so I don't think that was too bad at all. And before I leave you, a word about the next episode. We're off to Paynton. I'm hoping for better weather then, because I'm hoping it will coincide with the Torbay Air Show. So we'll have a look around Paynton at everything that's got to show you, and end it perhaps with the red arrows and whatever else flies over us. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please press like and subscribe. I do appreciate that very much, and I'll see you next time on our next day trip. Bye.